Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, welcome back to more Pathfinder Kingmaker. I'm Liz. If you've been watching this series from the beginning and you're anxious to see what happens next all the time, it'd be great if you'd do a subscribe to the channel, or a like on the video, or a comment to say all kinds of fancy things because it helps in amazing ways. Also, it encourages, continuing everything and all of that good stuff. If you want the latest details about what's been going on in the channel, I highly recommend you take a peek at either my Twitter or the channel Discord. Links are both in the description below, where I post details about whatever is going on. When things get a little slow on the channel, things slow down there as well. But when it picks back up, that's where the announcements are and all that kind of stuff. Today, we are at Nettle's Crossing. Basically, there's an event that happens when you rest on the map. I'm not sure if it happens immediately. Like, everything looks blurry to me, too. Like, what's the deal with that? Like, on the map itself. Is that the fog? I don't know. Anyway, there is something that happens at the map when you rest early in the game, and you get this event where you get exhausted. Well, not exhausted, so you get fatigued, and you can't remove the fatigue. Like, no matter how often you rest, you continue having these nightmares that just make you fatigued. And being fatigued sucks, as you saw earlier in the game when we were at Oleg's Crossing. To relieve that, you have to come to Nettle's Crossing to speak to this ghost who's been sending you visions. And we wanna sort of preempt him before we even have those visions. We want to meet him and be like, hey, don't waste my effing time, man. Because in this game, when you rest, obviously time passes. As time passes, your countdown on Stolen Land, 87 days, 8 hours to do this, ticks down. And other things happen, especially when you start managing your kingdom. Other kingdom events can happen as time goes by. We don't want to rest if we don't have to. It's absolutely crucial to me. So we're going to go to Nettle's Crossing, and we are going to tell this guy to stay the F out of our head before he even gets into our head, because we're that good at this. Also at Nettle's Crossing, there's some other stuff. If I recall correctly, and I'm not 100% sure, I think there's a couple things in here. But we might not be able to get them both. We might have to come back to the...
My search was not in vain.
Okay, we got that one. I think there's another thing up here, but it's really hard to spot.
What's that?
And we spotted it, holy crap, but it's also really hard to lockpick.
I failed. I'm sorry.
Okay, everybody who can lockpick failed. And this is the kind of thing I was saying, where it's like, yeah, no, we're
I failed. I'm sorry.
Let's take a peek at what's its difficulty. 27. And we rolled a 24. We have 8 modifiers, so we oh boy, we have to do pretty good to get this thing. I'm thinking we're actually just gonna come back. I'm not gonna waste my time with it right now. We'll come back to Nettle's Crossing. We have to come back after we kill the Stag Lord to tell the ghost thing about, the status and all that kind of stuff. I think we will come back and we'll try and pick that then. I'm pretty sure there's just a Ring of Protection +1 in it anyway, so it's not the biggest deal in the world, but still. Davik Nettle. The corpse's face is bloated from being so long in the water. The stench from its toothless mouth is so foul that your eyes begin to water. The hand, clenching a sinister-looking spear, is covered with scabs. Suddenly you feel faint, as if a cold, wet hand is placed heavy on top of your head. Wet hair sticks to skin, and trickles of icy cold water run down your face and shirt. A hoarse whisper rises inside your head. There you are. Who are you? Davik Nettle. How did you die? You see a vision of a lovely spring day. Sunbeams shine warm against your cheeks. 3 men approach the house by the bridge, one of them wearing an antlered helm. So that ruined house that we just saw. The Stag Lord. Angry faces, a quarrel, a glint of an unsheathed sword. Suddenly, the Stag Lord's greedy eyes are twisted by surprise. The master of the house has unleashed his hounds. A burning smell stirs you awake to the sound of loud barking. Flames are crawling up the walls, the sound of breaking glass, the bitter cold night air. You're outside the house, and something is wrong. An arrow strikes deep in your shoulder as you hear the guffa. Really? They're using this word. Wow. I haven't heard this word used in a literal sense in ages. Of 10 throats. You run, already in the middle of the bridge. The man in the antlered helm cuts one of the ropes. An ear-splitting scream fills the air. What do you want from me? You see a vision of a man wearing an antlered helm. You hear a moaned groan, and the helm drops to the ground with a loud thud. Your hands are covered with hot blood. Too much blood. Chaotic neutral. I refuse to help you on principle. You shouldn't have messed with my head. Don't you hate it when somebody asks you to do something you were going to do anyway? It makes me want to not, just to spite them. I shall take your vengeance upon the Stag Lord. Come later, take the spear. Yeah, okay. So we can get his spear in the future. You know, if we finish off the Stag Lord for him. We get some experience for that. We also prevent that fatigue debuff from happening. That's the main reason we do it. Valerie's got this lantern on, and she's got a little bit of light aura around her. I really like having an ASMR in the group because they have this halo that they can turn on and off whenever they please. And the halo is this massively powerful, like, searchlight, basically. It's just this beacon that can light up, like, everything around you in a dungeon. But I don't have any of them in this party because there's none as default companions. So, and our character is a human. Okay, so we got that loot. Lindsay is so far back in the formation that she actually has to move forward to gather with the party in order to venture forth. That's absolutely adorable, Lindsay. Absolutely adorable. Okay. So now that that's taken care of, we can sort of branch out and do what we want. We don't want to do the Fangberry Cave until we get Octavia. Waterlog the Lowland. I don't remember what's there. Ugh, looks like we get to it from the top, but I don't remember what's there. We want to go to the Thorn Ford, and then the House in the Woods, and then the Temple of the Elk, or whatever it is, before we head down here to the ruined Sycamore. Old Sycamore. Ruined. Exploring
would be nice,
up here would be nice too. Okay, so Lindsay is fatigued. Only Lindsay is fatigued. Let's. She's got reduced dex as a result. I don't remember what's in the waterlogged lowland though, guys. We'll rest. We'll go ahead and do it. So let's set up our resting pattern here. We are going to have, so I can go on watch. Let's remove everybody for a second. What am I good at? I have +6 on hunt, +7 on cooking, and 1 on watching. +5 on hunting. She could be also on watch. He's only good on watch. Or for his special role. What's his special role? Blend into the night. Okay. Lindsay can camouflage us, and she's pretty much the only person who can camouflage, but she's also the best cook. I mean, I can cook at +7. She can cook at +9. Cooking is, for a hearty meal, is a DC 20. That's pretty rough. Like, that's not the easiest thing in the world to hit. +1 on saving throws for the day, yeah. So in this case, Valerie's really only good at hunting, and she's actually the best at hunting, which is amazing, because I'm pretty sure she's not usually. I'm pretty sure the only thing Valerie is any good for normally is her watch, or you stick her in her special role. So the only one who can camouflage us is Lindsay, so I'm going to put her there. I will cook, and then Amiri... I mean, we could just not have you on watch at all, but I'll put you on watch for the evening, later in the day. Okay, works for me. This is probably about what Lindsay normally has for Knowledge World anyway, because I think we're better at it than we normally are because we sort of played with the stats a bit. So this is fine. That'll do. Begin resting. It's really weird seeing Valerie hunt. Normally she's so freaking useless at resting. Okay, so we spoiled the meal, that's fine. But we were not ambushed. Great! Let's go take a look at the waterlogged lowlands, guys. Okay, so it is an event. We walked across the heath for a long time, yet no sight sprang up before our eyes. By turns, we discovered a verdant lowland with several near-about springs streaming down behind another hillside, and then in the distance, in the center of the lowland among the bush, there stood a single dry tree, a true giant. Its magnificent outline resembled an animal's paw, clawing at the sky. But what was truly remarkable, the flat landscape was dotted by mysterious dark humps. They were piled about the height of a man and scattered around in abundance. Explore the lowland. The further we trekked, the softer the land became. Step by step, heathgrass gave way to moss, low-growing shrubs and ferns, and then sloshy puddles of stinky swamp water. The muddy ground sucked at our feet, and soon our party was jumping from hassock to hassock. Finally, we reached the first group of mysterious humps. We learned that they were no mere hills, but dugout dwellings. We moved with great care towards the center of the lowland, and there the real swamp began. On the way toward the mysterious giant tree, we saw the foggy outline of another hut, this one much bigger and surrounded by small clay statues. Examine the dwellings. Inside, the dugouts were frowsy and dark, darker than holes and filled with absolute desolation. There was no windows in the mud walls, no furniture or other homely items, except for the odd piece of tattered wicker. But every dwelling had a large hole dug right into the center of the dirt floor, like a fire pit, but taking up a greater part of the space. They were filled with standing water and reeked beyond description. We moved with great care toward the center of the lowland, and there the swamp began. On our way toward the mysterious giant tree, we saw the hot blah 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 blah. We know that. We saw that already. We would not retreat. We moved towards the tree. Here's an athletics check. Okay, no, I've got somebody better at it than that. It's gonna let me pick somebody. I swear it's going to. We walked slowly, carefully, choosing our way, keeping to drier ground as much as possible, but the further we went, the more difficult it became, and soon we were wading waist deep through the cattails. Suddenly Harem staggered, spit out an oath, and flailed his arms. He made a wrong step, and unable to pull out of his foot out, he called loudly and began to sink. Wow, no, it was Harem who did it, but we did pass it anyway. He managed to keep his head above the water while we struggled to rescue him, grabbing the nearest hand, blah blah blah. Okay. The insatiable bog girdled hungrily after us, but we didn't look back. Sodden and weary, we finally made it back to solid ground, and a palace of sorts rose before our eyes. A spacious hut made of mud like the rest, but decorated with pebbles, bones, cattail spikes, and snail shells. In front of the palace was a wide and shallow reservoir. Its green water reflected the leaves of the huge ferns and primitive clay figurines. The buzzing of gnats was nearly deafening. We were not far to the center of the swamp, and a firm and steady path led there through the thick bushes. At its end, the tall, dry tree stretched mightily upwards, clawing at the firmament. Okay, so this is like the sort of hall at the center of the village kind of thing. We can peek in the hut. We can know about the world. What do we know about the world? We failed. With a +9, we failed a knowledge world check. Flat heads, no necks, chins, ugly long legs, unnaturally bent. Between frog and human. Fantastic! We peeked inside the hut. It was twice the height of the other huts, and its entrance was wide enough that the three could walk abreast. The walls were decorated, and an unknown builder had scratched drawings in the clay while it was still wet. The faded scrawl depicted huge amphibians devouring smaller figures, some frog-headed, others not. 3 of the 4 rooms boasted large holes filled with water, just like the other dwellings, though here there were steps descending into them, cut into the dirt. In the furthest room, we found equipment decorating the walls, leather armor, spears, clubs. To our surprise, a number of items were well preserved. The hut was clearly deserted, so we felt no shame in taking some of it with us. We got a short sword, leather armor, and 137 gold coins. It was ever so lovely to walk once again along the well-trodden path, our soaked clothes imagined being dry, and our mood at once lifted. The bushes that bordered on the path seemed to wave at us amiably, with their juicy green leaves and shiny bright red berries. A fresh wind puffed away the rotten smell, and it finally felt like the swamp might be nearly behind us. I read so much quicker in these things and so much more accurately when I don't read out loud. Like, seriously, when I'm reading out loud, I'm paying attention to other things, and it's like I always hiccup one word or something. But then the wind stopped blowing, and the thorny branches continued to move, and we heard a loud shout. Valerie, who was watching our rear, pointed to a surging, crawling wall of green, filled in the path behind us. The surrounding thicket was coming to life. Its branches reached out with a soft swishing sound. Drops of sap oozed from their thorns, gleaming in the emerald dusk. The path was disappearing. There was no way back, and the clear space ahead was closing. Finally, some, drama that I can get into while reading. Mobility 16, so we need to roll a 6. That's not that bad. Or strength 10. We ran forward as fast as our legs could carry us. We succeeded. As an experienced traveler, you can tell sometimes you walk and sometimes you run. The branches snatched at our backpacks and clothes, and sprouts tangled at our feet, but we slipped their grasp and we were too quick. 22 experience. Finally, after what seemed like an endless trek, we came upon a gigantic dry tree that had so intrigued us from the beginning. Lo and behold, we saw an idol cut into its trunk. This is the Oh, okay. I think I know what this might be. Anyway, religion 15. We have plus 8 from harem, or we could do lawful good. Let's try the religion. We succeeded. There could be no doubt this was Goganta, master of the great swamp in the demon abyss. But what is this? While we were examining the idol, a large bright blue dragonfly came out of the hollow in the tree and sat invitingly on the very tip of our noses. It was so remarkably strange. It didn't react to our movements and seemed quite content to remain where it was. Suddenly, Liz grabbed the dragonfly, held it to her mouth. Oh, gods. Did she decide to eat it? So, fortitude plus 7. We'd have to roll an 11. We'll get a little sick, I guess. Let's do it. We succeeded! I heard a wet crunch and I winced before I could look. I turned around, hearing a faint cry. Liz had turned white and started to collapse. We barely had time to catch her. After returning to life in a few hours, she told us amazing things. It turned out the Boggart's priest ate blue dragonflies to fall into a hypnotic trance, where they could hear the will of the goddess, a demon lord, Goganta, the creator of all Boggart kind. In her dream, Liz saw ancient times, how the Boggarts built their settlements, how they raided the neighbors and enslaved the children, how they held bloody rituals to honor bloated amphibian monsters. The roar of their laughter throughout the dark centuries, and she saw a priest bury a stash of plundered jewelry in his hut rather than offering it to his cruel goddess. In return, the wrathful Gorganta set a horrible plague upon this tribe, and that priest would be their last. We left the swamp. We looked inside the priest's hut to dig out the treasure. So we gained an emerald and 177 more experience. That's nice. I like that. And then we get back to this map, and immediately the map looks blurred. Like, I'm used to traveling this map when I have the barony, and it does not look blurred. I'm hoping this is like the fog or whatever, creating this blurred effect, because it just looks bad to me. Yeah, so we're going to continue on to the Thornford. We're well rested. We're not going to go down here and head to the stuff around the old sycamore. We're going to head more up to the northwest. Okay, so this could be an ambush.
In due time.
Who's here?
This will hurt.
Cobalt archers. We want to look out behind us because this could potentially be an ambush. I think we are going to, in the meantime, charge this kobold. Whoa! Boom! You suck. No, it doesn't look like an ambush. Looks like that's all there was. You don't have to run up and loot. If there's animals, you have to go up to them to loot them so you can skin them. But if it's humanoids like kobolds, you can just go to the exit and collect all. It's fine. We are going to pick up like all of the junk that we can. We're not always going to carry all the junk. We will leave some of it sometimes, but we're going to come back and pick it up. And we're going to sell stuff because I want the money. Like, even if it's only a couple hundred extra money for selling a metric butt ton of junk, I do want it. There are things we want to do with it early on. Later in the game, you're rolling in money, but early on, not so much. So you got to sort of plan accordingly. Thornford, awesome. Now, I don't know if we can win over the girl here, Svetlana's sister, if we're neutral. We're lawful neutral. Maybe there's a skill check that lets you do it. I know if you're lawful good, you can do it by negotiating with her. Oh, there's also a ring of protection here on this map, so that'll be good too.
I'm there.
We'll do that after we meet her. Edible moss. We're just going to explore the whole area because this map has some goodies on it. A sack of gold and some foodstuffs. That's pretty nice. And we're going to quick save because the camp is right here. Dark-haired bandit is kicking the ground irritably. When she sees you, she squares her shoulders and clenches her hand axe. Well, look who's here. Sometimes, I don't know what triggers it, but sometimes the bandit's like second in command, like the Stag Lord's deputy basically, is here as well. He's gone already. I think he's here if you rush to this location, like before you do Tartusio and all that stuff. Whereas if you come to this location before you do Tartusio, you're not going to get your companions. The deputy, though, I don't really care about talking to him here. Yeah, requires good. So not lawful good, just being good. A specific alignment. Perhaps you'd be willing to help for reward. Enough talk. Die.
Who will prevail?
Yeah, we need to be good in order to win her over, unfortunately. There might be a way to do it still, but, I mean, whatevs. Let's all get in there. Let's myrtleize her. Yeah, I am able to attack from behind the front line. I'm not able to attack... Oh yeah, there I go. I'm hitting from behind the front line there. Cleave is on? Yeah, cleave is on. Good. Let's get in here. Let's murder some archers. Valerie, no. Charge, please. Put charge on your bar in slot number 1. We'll put fighting defensively on the bar too. We're not going to use it yet. Fighting defensively is sort of a trap. People who play Pathfinder a lot kind of recognize fighting defensively as a trap.
This will hurt.
But we'll use it. Wow, we're just getting hit by arrows there. That ain't good. Lindsay, you get in here too, please. Alright, bandits sorted. Can I not loot the bandits? This guy's not lootable or something? Okay, well, let's loot these ones. We will loot Cressel up here. She has 2 nice masterwork hand axes and +1 studded leather, which is good. Also, Svetlana's wedding ring, so we got the ring back. Sort of sucks that we didn't manage to get her and bring her back to her sister. Sorry, do we know that she's her sister yet? We just know that Svetlana wants us to go easy on her. It's unfortunate that we couldn't go easy on her. We had to end her, but that's okay. She actually helps you out when you attack the Stag Lord later as well. If you save her, her and her bandits help you. So that's one reason to support them. Dark-haired man looks up. He's a prisoner. Praise Erastil! Somebody finally chased off those scoundrels. Thank you, stranger. My name is Jihad. I'm a priest of Erastil from Galt. Those bandits attacked me as I was crossing the river. Said they wanted to take me to their leader. Make me heal their wounds. Not a chance. The strength granted to me by Erastil is meant to help honest people, not robbers. Glad I could help. So he is going to go to Oaken's trading post. And he's not a companion. Or not Oaken. Oleg's trading post. Oaken. Wow. Oh, man. Leaking between two different things of content here. I'm afraid an old fool like me won't be able to handle the mission on my own. And he's telling us about the Temple of the Elk. Fantastic. We want to know about the Temple of the Elk, remember? The, Fairy mentioned something about that. We'll find out more about it when we go to the old house. Let's go open this up.
Applause, please.
Good job, Linz. Good job. Is there anything else in there? No, it doesn't look like there's anything else in the camp. There's a box down here, though. And there is a crate of wine over here if we notice it. I'm not going to reload for this if we don't, but we succeeded. Take the wine. It's the Stag Lord's wine. So the Stag Lord, you might sort of notice so far, he's a bandit, but he's also very not into, like, actually leading and not into doing the job. So, as a result, he basically spends all of his time in his house drinking, and he doesn't do a really good job, and people like Kessel there don't like that about him. They're not pleased about the fact that he's not exactly a good leader. He inspired something in them at first, but now he's sort of deteriorated.
Applause, please.
Good job, Linz!
In due time.
Also, we get a lot of experience for traps, so I highly recommend disarming as many traps as you can when you spot them. There's some loot over here. Yeah, that's an artifact. We definitely want that. Let's just do some quick exploration up here. Nothing. And there is, there might be another bandit over here, but for sure there is a Ring of Protection +1. So here's a cart, probably that the bandits would be robbing. And yeah,
you should have run.
There's a couple more bandits here.
Do not falter.
You deserve it.
We're just slow swinging is all it is. We can definitely hit from back there. We're just slow to swing. So I'm okay with that.
I see something.
There we go. Ring of Protection +1.
I'm there.
I don't think there's anything else on this map, and if there is, doesn't matter that much to me. That's the most important thing here. So we got 19 AC on both of them. So I think since Amiri has a lot of damage reduction and stuff like that, we'll put the ring on Harem, put him up to 20 AC. We already have a Ring of Protection, so there's no point us putting it on. We also have ourselves studded leather. So it has a max sex bonus of 5 as opposed to the basic one. It has no armor check penalty. Okay, that's what I really wanted to see. No AC penalty means I'm okay wearing this on Linz. So her AC can go up a little bit. She'll be a little bit more encumbered, but she's still at light encumbrance, so that's fine. Person I'm most concerned about is Amiri, because she has to carry this ginormous sword that weighs 12 pounds. But she's got tons of strength, so she's just fine. And so is everybody else, it looks like. Okay. We need to head back to Oleg's soon. But I'm thinking, what are we at? We're at, is it medium? Medium, yeah. I think maybe we'll do the old house first. If we do the old house, we want to do the temple as well. So I don't know, guys. Maybe we'll do it all. But I think with that, we're going to call it quits for this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Today we did Nettle's Crossing. We came across, we did the Thorn Ford and took care of some bandits. And next time, I think what we're going to do is head north. We're probably going to have to rest along the way because we're at medium encumbrance. And do the abandoned hut. And then we might even do the Temple of the Elk if we're feeling like it before we head back to Oleg's. And we're going to get some new quests when we go back to Oleg's. Like, we'll get the Tusk Gutter one and maybe something else. I don't know. But we'll definitely pick up some more stuff when we get back there. Yeah, I think I'm happy with what we did today. Thank you for tuning in. I have been Liz. This has been Pathfinder Kingmaker. I'll see you next time.